So it just went too hard there. If he'd left the angle to free the one on the cushion, and he's got the 3-ball plant, and it's actually...
Are you at all surprised he didn't look at the reds? I was thinking the red goes to the bottom right-hand corner.
I actually was, because that was my first thought, but then when I seen the 3-ball plant, I thought, well, that's a give me. But I agree with you. I think I would probably prefer the reds.
Because he was on the red that he was just played past there, the one on the left-hand side cushion. You could take that one straight away, and then everything else is absolutely in the open. He's seen yellows, and to be honest, at 15 seconds a shot, you just have to go with your instinct, what you see first of all.
I suppose that yellow goes to the middle, but can I hold here? I think he's all right here.
Extension call.
It's just a wee bit. I think he can just pinch the pocket. Oh no.
He can still just about cut this in. Keeble's going into the other yellows and needs to judge the cannon.
Just has to drop it in dead weight. Oh yeah, good shot.
Really nicely done from Rob Warne.
Just about time for one more frame, is there?
Well, 3 minutes on the clock. This has been excellent from Rob Warne, it really has. Arguably the harder of the two colour sets, but still takes them out, and he takes them out very quickly. Just under 3 minutes left, and you say there's time for one more frame. Your good friend and one of the best players ever, Gareth Potts, I think has changed the imagination of what people can do. 28 seconds, he had a break clearance in a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's true, but realistically there's maybe time for 2 more frames, but three's a big ask.
Yeah, that felt like a quick breaking clearance from Rob Warne, and that's still taken 1.5 to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's any sort of mileage in a frame and it would be the last one. What Aaron is hoping for is to make a ball, and he gets the next opportunity and then really puts the pressure onto Rob.
Yeah, and if he does get a chance here, I would imagine he'll try and drag it out as long as he possibly can.
Oh no, he makes a ball. Does he have a good chance?
Does he have a starter?
First glance, he does not have a good starter at all.
Extension call.
Calls for an extra 15 seconds. I'm not surprised by that.
That's all about the first shot, isn't it? If he oh, he's on the one.
He's on the red.
This is possibly game ball. Yeah,
brilliant
shot.
Red balls in play.
He's on the red by the 8 ball as well. Nice to get that one out of the way.
Yeah, they're pretty good now. I think it must go to the same pocket he's putting this one in, or he would have took it now. Oh no way.
Oh, he stretched and didn't really get on the shot properly. The beeps short him out. He didn't have time to do anything else.
He's rushed it a bit. But I tell you, see, when that bleeper starts going, 15 seconds, it's panic.
You don't have time to call for a rest or reposition yourself. You almost just have to go with it.
No, you have to see a shot and commit to it, and sometimes it's the wrong shot.
Well, Rob Warne has the opportunity to really turn this match around.
Yeah.
5-3 behind with, 6 minutes or so on the clock. This will really turn it around if he can edge himself in front, and it would be his break. This is huge.
Oh, he's played that well. He's got this.
Just has to hold himself together now. 5 pots, just over a minute. So the time at 15 seconds a shot is in hand.
So he can nearly run the clock down here if he has the control to do it. He's maybe a bit straight on this one, is he?
He might be a touch.
Just
force it.
Top it on. Oh, just that straight.
Oh, misses the key ball, and he's left just enough time here for Aaron Davies. Can Aaron find 6 balls in 34 seconds? Doesn't look like he's in a rush.
Why is he not rushing?
I think he's accepting a 6 red shootout here.
No, he can't. He can't. Oh, I'm amazed.
And with that miss, we're all but certain to end in a 6 red shootout. 10 seconds here for Rob Warne.
This is going to look... Oh, what's he doing?
Oh, he's missed the pot and trying to rush. So we will be going to a 6 red shootout. It's the first 6 red shootout of the competition. And Ronan, you called a 6 red shootout as well.
I did, but it should never have been. One of the 2 chances they had there, the 2 boys would be kicking themselves.
Yeah, so for those of you that haven't seen it, 6 red shootout, the balls will be racked up in the triangle area, 6 reds, and the player that clears them the quickest will make it through to the second stage. It's very tough. It's a tough way to decide a match, but it's a lot of fun for us from the commentary box.
It's brilliant to watch, but the actual playing side of it's horrific. It's just, it can make you look so silly, you know, when you see some of the great players that's played it, like Scott Gillespie, and you know, it's panic, and it can make you look terrible silly, but it's really...
It is a very, very tough, tough way of deciding a match, I have to say, but it is a lot of fun for us.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So the players will lag off, and then the player that wins the lag will get the choice of whether they go first or second. Would you go first or second, Ronan?
100% second.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Know what time you've got to beat, and this is a very close lag, but it will be Rob Warne that wins it. He will get to decide whether he goes first or second, and like us, he's saying over to you, Aaron.
Yeah.
Now, Aaron,
you always want to know what you have to beat. It's like playing golf. If you're coming down the last couple of holes, you need to know what you need to score.
Now, we've seen a lot of 6 red shootouts over the past year, and we know that something in the mid-20s is a very competitive time.
Who call?
I think I still can't call it. I'll have to ask you. You're the expert in the com box.
I have a wee notion for Rob. I just think he plays much quicker than Aaron, and
I think the mental advantage is with Rob because he's the player that has made the comeback to get into a 6 red shootout.
But I don't even think it's a matter of who's the quickest. I think it's a matter of who's the most composed.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Because you can be too quick. You can be flying around the table and play the totally wrong shots.
Yeah, if you rush, then you can end up making more of a mess for yourself. A couple of things to note. You have to hit a cushion with every shot, and the object ball and the cue ball have to be stationary when you play the next shot. Other balls can be moving, so you want economy of movement for the cue ball. You do not want it to move, and the break is not opened up for Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
Now you need lots of stop shots.
Oh, no.
Now he's missed. This is going to be a tough one. You just never know at this game. You just got to keep going.
Yeah.
Try and set a time. Early 30s wouldn't be out of the question.
Yeah.
31.81. That will be confirmed. That is just our time. That will be confirmed by the referee. And he's done well, actually, Ronan, I think, considering where he was after missing that pot to the corner, to at least set a time that could be
at least
a challenge.
He kept going, you know, because sometimes you can throw the head up and, you know, just make it easy for Rob, but at least he kept going and they set him a target. So I would, if I was Rob, I would be happy with that, but it still takes a bit of beating.
Well, just here in my ear, the official time is 31.88 for Rob Warne to beat. 31.88. It's a comfortable time, but it only takes one shot for it to get away from Rob here.
Yeah. I think if somebody sets a time like that for you, I think you can be a wee bit more composed. I don't think you need to rush as much. Yeah,
if you make a half-decent break and then you put all 6 without moving the cue ball far, you can be a little bit more composed with it.
Yeah.
A slightly better break, but not perfect.
Oh, he's got this. He's got this. It can't be any.
He is moving the cue ball a bit too far here.
He just had to drop that in.
You want stop shots. You do not want to move the cue ball.
Oh, he's moving again. He's moving the cue ball again.
But he keeps making the pot. That's important.
He just has to take his time now.
If he doesn't miss, he's good.
Oh, he's good. He's good.
Drop this one in, and you are home. And Rob Warne gets over the line. What a match. What a brilliant match from two great players. Aaron Davies got himself in front, but Rob Warne pegged him back to take us to a 6-red shootout. And he was set just over 30 seconds, and he was able to get the job done in just the nick of time. But it is Waka Warne that moves on to the last 16 of the Ultimate Pool Pro Cup.
Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Pro Cup. Well, after the drama of that 6-red shootout, let's find out who will face Rob the Waka Warne. It'll be either Dom Cooney or Carl Sutton. Commentary for this one is Mick Hill. He joins Mark Shepherd.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to it. And as Stephen says, what a dramatic end to that previous match, going all the way to the 6-red shootout. Rob Warne prevailing by the narrowest of margins. The quality matchups keep coming, though. Two former World Championship finalists. Dom Cooney was the runner-up in 2019. Carl Sutton 3 years before that. Not a great deal to choose between them, you'd have to say, mate.
No, I think the whole group. You know, I said in the studio before the group started, I thought it was one of the hardest ones to pick. You could have made a case for all the 4 players, and yeah, again, Carl and Dom are, you know, are fairly evenly matched, you'd say. So Carl's going to play the yellow, and then he's going to play the tactical turnover shot, I would think, at the top left, by playing his yellow onto to Dom's red. Just wants to be a little bit careful with the cue ball. He doesn't really want to play this and leave Dom on his awkward red to double across to the other side of the table.
Lost a turn.
So we could well see Dom play the same shot back here by chipping off the edge of his red ball and potting Carl's yellow, or he could pot the red in the centre and then play the turnover shot. Yeah, elected it this time. So you'd have to say it wasn't a great cue ball from Carl, was it? To allow Dom to take the initiative like that. Yeah,
really, when you hand over the table like that, you're looking to try and get the cue ball tucked up tight somewhere. Yeah. It's not that easy from where he was there. That's a great thing about this rule set, though. It's so positive, because even though we've had a couple of those turnover shots, it's just kind of opened the frame up. There's still that cluster on the right, but the rest of the table much more open now. Well, it's positive tactics. You know, sometimes you watch your league pool and two guys are tip-tapping around for 25 minutes with no game plan, just a case of just tip-tapping balls for the sake of it. Get two shots, pot your opponent's ball and tip-tap around again for another 20 minutes. There's no progression. Okay, so I believe that Dom played the double there off the top cushion to try and pot the yellow top left, but caught his other red ball on the way through. So still a problem with the three balls clustered. Everything else now looking pretty attractive. Yeah, Carl's a little bit behind in this frame because he's maybe going to have a go when he's long odds to get them, you'd have to say. Yeah, it doesn't always pay you to be the first one in, does it? No, he's got a decent angle here. Yeah, he's played a decent shot there to pot the one in the left centre and draw the cue ball across into the cluster of three, the 8, the red and the yellow. He'd love to hit the 8 ball here and just pop the 3 out. Yeah, I think he hit that with a little bit too much pace. He didn't give the cue ball chance to bite. Yeah, just arced a bit too much. If he'd have taken a little bit of the pace off, it would have bitten sooner. And now, particularly at this rule set, you're in a world of trouble, really, because, you know, there's so many options for reds. You may see Carl have a little bit of a whack at this. Yeah, there's almost not much downside, because if he does just turn the table over, as you say, he's going to basically just get into worse and worse positions. I wouldn't be surprised to see him pop this and have a bit of a whack here. Yeah. Great effort. Great effort. Oh, this has come out well. Great effort. That was a much more difficult shot into it than the previous one that he missed. Well, yeah, it was a great outcome, but you've got to get the hit to get the outcome. And that was a super shot to break into those balls from that angle. Back across twice. Yeah, did he get there? Not quite. Not quite. And it obviously doesn't double in the middle, otherwise he would have just dropped that in dead weight. He wouldn't have attempted to go back and forth. So it's a corner double, I believe, here. Yeah, this is an awkward shot. Yeah, these either fly in or they make you look, you know, a bit silly, because they can go anywhere at times. Brilliant. Oh, look at that. Brilliant. Well, you said they fly in sometimes, and that absolutely superb.
Great.
That's a kind of typical Carl Sutton finish, isn't it? Sometimes he can just really turn it on and pull out those finishes from places that just doesn't look possible.
Well, I think he can be an underestimated shot maker. I think he's a really good shot maker. Something that's not always talked about in his game.
It's a pretty fine pool CV. 2016, evidently a good year for him. European champion and world finalist, losing to his good friend Sean Chipperfield in that world final. 4 UK tour titles as well. Yeah, actually knocked me out in the quarter-final that year. 9-5, played superb. Phil Harrison in the semis. And then just fell short against Sean Chipperfield in the final. Yeah, I mean, that year, those were the two best players in the tournament by a mile, and Sean just played so well.
I'm ranked 25, but he hasn't had the best of draws, I tell you, this season.
No, I mean, you wouldn't expect him. I don't think there are 24 better players than him, although it's a pretty stacked field. So
well, every time I've watched him play this season, he's played Gareth Potts. He must have played Gareth Potts 3 or 4 times this season.
Yeah, he's lost to Gareth Potts 3 times in events 4, 6 and 7, so that's not the best draw, is it?
No, and he's made a good account to himself. Certainly the last match, he had a good chance to win, actually, 7-5 the last time they played.
Yeah, he lost in a decider in the last 16 at the last weekend.
That's right. So, good break there by Dom. So there's a couple of options. Put the yellow into the right centre. He can either tickle into the red and knock the red out the way, or play directly into the yellow, depending on what angle he's got. Yeah, and he had a lot thicker angle than what he anticipated there, because he definitely would have thought he was hitting the red.
Yeah, you can see from his body language.
Four ball plan, Dom. Yellow onto red, onto yellow, onto yellow. I expect him to get close to this, the way that the yellow to the left-hand side is sat as well. He could play that 50 times and not find that gap.
Yeah, getting between the 2 yellows is pretty unlucky there.
So calm. Look at this again. Wow. Try that. You actually try that. You could play that 50 times and that not happening again.
Yeah, any different contact and he somehow knocks the ball in, but that's the only one that didn't.
Okay, so he's got the problem at the top right hand at the table. He could play what we call the skill shot, the red onto the yellow and the red follow it in, which means you continue at the table as long as you pocket your own ball.
Yeah, and the yellow's sitting quite nicely for that. It's kind of in the middle of the pocket, which is what you want.
Yeah, and you've got somewhat of a little bit of freedom and less pressure playing it in this set of rules, because of course if the red doesn't follow the yellow in, you just lose your turn, as opposed to it being a foul in previous rule sets that we've played. So he's the freedom of playing it, knowing it, at least it's not a foul if he doesn't make it.
Yeah, this is a perfect position for him, because he can play position for the red if he does make it, but as you say, if he didn't, it wouldn't necessarily be the end of the frame. I firmly expect him to make this, though. These are set nicely from the position he's in.
Nicely played. But with having to make the red follow the yellow ball in, he wanted to stop the white, which meant he compromised position a fraction, because he would have liked to have been a little bit straighter on this red ball than what he is. he could play this with a little bit of spin and run off this ball. So he could play it with a bit of spin and run off the edge of the yellow ball, but I don't think he is playing that. Nicely played.
Yeah, he's judged that cannon well on the yellow. Looking good so far. He's got a good touch around the table. Got one more delicate shot, but white is naturally coming down on this end.
Lost the cue ball a fraction.
Yeah, decided to put all his concentration into the pot, and you can't entirely blame him from that position.
And a pretty big shot, you'd have to say, early on in the match.
Yeah, especially when you see the yellows he's going to leave if he does miss this 8 ball.
It's there. Excellent.
And this is the Carl Sutton that we've seen over the years. I mean, as you say, 25 doesn't quite seem the right ranking for him this season, but
no,
typically he's such a good shot maker.
There's not 24 better players than Carl Sutton, in my opinion. But as I said, and I alluded to it in an earlier commentary, that with the ranking system being new and the ultimate pool being, as we, you know, the points are in effectively your prize money that you've won. And I think with a ranking system like that, you don't have to do a lot to get yourself up the rankings. You know, you win one event and get beat in 7 first rounds, and you're going to be in the top 5, 6, you know, so...
I think it's a good example for all the players, like, even if you've had a bad season and things haven't been going well, I mean, you've been playing well all season, just not getting the results, then suddenly it all comes together at the right time, and you can get that win on the board. So he comes into this with a lot of confidence. Since then he's played in the Champion of Champions a couple of weekends ago. Didn't have any luck there, lost 4-3 to Shane Thompson in a close first round match.
Yeah, he was actually way ahead in that match, and he had ball in hand at one stage and kind of ended up sort of fluffing his lines a little bit, to be honest with you. It was a match that, you know, he could have won, should have won possibly. So he's just got to mind his work a little bit here, because the 8 ball isn't entirely accessible.
Yeah, so all the red balls in the open positions.
Yeah,
he's just got to get his way down to that corner at some point.
I don't really like the idea of leaving this one over the corner pocket till last, because you've not got much window there. But I'm not exactly sure how we can avoid that now.
Extension called?
No, that's sometimes the way, isn't it? The route kind of plans itself just because there's no other option. It's an important frame for him. I mean, watched a couple of good clearances from Carl. He wants to start laying down a bit of a marker in this match.
Well, yeah, I mean, you'd have to say if he was to go 3-0 behind, that would be somewhat of a mountain to climb at this stage.
Well, especially as Carl's, it's not like they've been easy finishes. He's looked in pretty good touch, so you've got to think he's going to carry on like that.
Yeah, and I think Dom actually played on that red. I don't think he played on the double. I think he's just kind of forced to have to play it. Right, now he could gamble here. He could gamble and try and nick the top yellow of the 2 as we look near the red ball, because that would make a bigger gap for the 8 ball, and he doesn't really lose anything if he doesn't hit it. And you know, and he's tried that, and he's had a lovely result there, because it's actually a little bit easier to find the gap from that angle than what it was the other angle. But I do believe he drawed down to try and nick one of those yellows out the way there to make a bigger window.
Yeah, it always made sense to favour that side in case he missed it, which was what happened. Oh, this would be a good shot if he's found that gap.
It's an excellent shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a big gap when you look at it, is it?
Excellent shot.
Taking those out nicely. Oh, very good standard of play. A smile from both players as Dom goes back to his seat.
Yeah, so sometimes I've had many conversations about our great game and I think sometimes the skill level can be lost sometimes, and this is a real good indication of that there. That is a much more difficult shot than it looks, that the viewers would even contemplate realising. You know, the table's like lightning. He's 2-0 down. Not showed amazing touch to get to that point, and to find that gap was a lot better shot than what you would think at home, I'm sure.
Frame 4.
And so much riding on it as well, because you just slip halfway behind one of those 2 yellows and suddenly you lose the frame. So he's got himself back into the match, and it's Dom that now breaks off in frame 4. Good, solid break.
Nice.
You can hear the balls raining into the pocket. Came slightly off the side of the front ball, but a pretty good connection with the pack.
They couldn't wait to go in, could they?
No, that's sometimes the way, it's not always the ones you catch absolutely head on. Sometimes you can just come a hair off straight and you get a better result.
So I like the red balls here. Drag the cue ball to where he's cueing now on the left-hand side. Got into the cue ball a little bit much there, a little bit too much. But it may work in his favour, because in potting the one in the centre, he'll nudge into his red ball, which might be a better ball to help him with the one on the right-hand side.
Yeah, you can see he doesn't love it, but as you say, this may actually turn out okay.
Yeah, could do him a favour, we'll see. Did it do him a favour? It did. Did it? Well, I take that back. It kind of did, and it didn't, because unfortunately it doesn't look like both reds go to the bottom right. So he just wants to mind his work a little bit. He could play it now and land on the awkward one into the centre.
Yeah, I mean, that would open up both of his problems in one go if he could do that.
Yeah. No, he's gonna play the other way. Okay. I kind of liked him to. I kind of liked him to drop the one bottom right there, and play on the tricky red into the centre. With this one, he's playing now as the connecting ball.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem with doing it this way is you're sort of going up and back, and it's hard to get on the last ball.
Well, it's okay if the red passes the one nearest the hole. Yeah, so he's going to play the tricky one last. That's fair enough, you know. It's,
yeah, I mean, this links up well with the 8 ball at least.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. That's how he's seeing it. And
we're very results based here in the commentary box, so he clears them up. It'll look like the right shot.
Yeah. Again, there, you know, it's personal preference, but there was a case of coming back and playing the red into the same pocket.
Yeah, it looked like he'd got quite a good angle just to screw across the face of this one, but he's equally got a good angle to take it across the table.
Nice.
Yeah, it's landed nicely.
Just wants to concentrate on this one and give it a proper due care and attention.
So, a fourth good clearance in a row. It's been solid stuff from both players.
Right.
The last couple of clearances haven't exactly looked easy. It's always felt like there's been a couple of slightly difficult things, but he's been up to the challenge each time.
Yeah, well, I guess the situation there was he landed a little bit, you know, finicky on his second ball, and it turned out to be a little bit of a blessing for him with the outcome in cannoning his red ball.
Carl would dearly love a good run in this tournament. This is although it's the last match of the year, as it were, last tournament of the year, this is being billed as the beginning of the 2022 season, so I'd love to get the season off to a good start and put some of the difficulties of last season behind them. Meanwhile, Dom seems to have just got a little bit of roughness on the edge of the tip. It's just trying to file off between frames. So the score's levelled up at 2 apiece now. Well, good news and bad news there. The last ball rolling's found the pocket, but the white's not ended up too good.
Horrible. Wants to play a red, can't see one. May have to go yellows, doesn't want to. He'd dearly love to be able to just tap the cue ball and just nestle it there, but I don't even think that's an option for him. I mean, you really don't want to be going yellows here.
No.
If that pops off the rail, he's half a chance. He can play the yellow top right and come down and break into the two awkward ones.
Yeah, if that cue ball had just bounced a couple of inches further off the rail, this would have been so much easier.
Yeah, because these are difficult to control. You desperately want to try and get the bite on the cue ball, but you can't hit it too hard because it just jumps forward. Yeah, there was nothing particularly easy about that, in all honesty.
It's not going to mind the outcome, though.
Well, I think it's a little nudging behind the red, flick off the red and back in behind it again. So I don't think it's that much of a use to him, to be honest with you, Mark. So even though he's in a snooker, he has to hit a cushion after contact. There's no total snooker called in international rules. So he must strike a cushion after contact.
Yeah, which basically means he's going to have to hit it a bit firmer than he might otherwise. Ooh, it's missed altogether.
Okay, so Dom ball in hand. I see him playing the red in the middle of the table, in off the yellow, and opening this red in the bottom right-hand corner. So the red next to the 8 ball in hand, and he plays it in off the yellow. Okay, he's electing to play this one off the yellow. The only thing with this one is the yellow could come back and hit this red. That wouldn't be the case with the other red. No, it's okay.
Yeah, it wasn't far off hitting it.
Not far, no. personally may have elected to play it in off with the other red, but you know the principle's the same.
Yeah, so the frame now opened up as a result of that shot.
So just want to take a little bit of care here, and that's not ideal. I think he would have liked to have been a little bit straighter, because I think he wants to play the one down the rail after he plays this shot. And I think he may have to play the one nearest the pocket. If he could have played the one down the rail from a lot straight after this, he then plays the one he's going to play, stuns into the yellow, and he's out of there.
Yeah, even though he can pop the one down the rail, that doesn't really afford very good positions. So
not now, it doesn't. He's going to have to play this one and then the one down the rail. Yeah, and he didn't really want to do that. So we can't tell on our screens whether he can get at that red. From where he's looking now, he must be able to.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's much room to play with from where it's pointing, but he's already played one very good positional shot into a tiny gap a couple of frames ago.
Yeah, and it doesn't take a lot at 8-ball pool just to kind of put yourself in a tricky position that maybe you didn't have to be in, you know, just by just that little bit of care.
Yeah, because suddenly this isn't anywhere near as easy as it might have been.
I still expect him to get out from here, but it can go wrong. Because now he's got to try and get onto the 8. It doesn't go into the same pocket. So he needs to hit something here, you'd think, to stop the white. And you see, if he gets straight on the one on the rail 4 shots ago, none of this happens. We shall see if on this occasion it will have any bearing on the outcome or not.
Yeah, I think you trust him to like a bit in playing this shot. You can't quite guarantee where the white's going to end up.
Well, he can either play to hit the yellow ball, or he can play to hit the 8 ball, depending on what angle he's got. It looks like the yellow. Good shot. Good shot.
Yeah, it feels like the last 3 frames have been a similar tale. There have been moments where he's slipped out of what we might have considered to be completely optimum position, but he's kept going each time. And another good clearance. 3 in a row now for Dom Cooney. Starting to get a bit dispiriting for Carl. He got off to a good start. It looked very good after the first 2 frames, but he's been frozen out a bit since then.
Well, I mean, he's broke off there, made a ball. Had to go the set that he doesn't want to go. Knowing really once he has a go, the frame's pretty much gifted to his opponent, and it's no real fault of his own. The ball's dictated to him what he could do, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was almost more frustration than if he just had a dry break, and he probably wouldn't have thought about it if Dom had just cleared up, but because he played the first shot, it's doubly frustrating.
Yeah.
Good finish in the end, found the right angle there just to leave the route through to the slightly guarded final, right?
I think from Dom's perspective, he's just started to find his feet on this Pro Series. You know, he's just starting to show what he's got.
Well, he's always been a player that's capable of sequencing things together. The year that he got to the World Championship final in 2019, when he lost to you, he'd won 14 matches en route to that final.
Did he really?
It's an enormous run.
Yeah.
You, I imagine, have played slightly less, being the seeded player into that draw.
Yeah, 5, I think.
Sure.
I'm not sure if that run went to... I don't know if he'd played in some sort of He'd obviously played in the qualifying section of the tournament itself. I don't know if there'd been some sort of pre-qualifying event he'd played even to get to Blackpool, maybe before that. But I mean, it was a great run that year, and that showed what he's capable of. I think a lot of people weren't really seeing him perhaps at that level before, but that really put his name on the map.
Yellow into the centre for Carl and try and make something happen. Yeah. Not terrible, but I suppose could have been a fraction better. He'd love the yellow to go through the reds and into the right centre, because he could play on that one next and then draw into the red ball. That isn't the case, so he's just going to tuck up. Okay. If he was going to tuck up there, I think I'd have liked him to have played it the other way and gone underneath the 8 in the yellow, as opposed to underneath the yellow there, but that was how he saw it. Maybe he could reach over better that way. But I think underneath the 8 and the other yellow was the slightly better snooker option there.
Extension call.
Just needs to get himself back into the match after watching Dom reel off the last 3. Carl just wants to get some kind of decent opportunity at the table.
I think Dom's just got to try and spoil something here, just kind of... Yeah, there wasn't a lot he could do. Carl may play the same shot again here, but I'd still rather him go underneath the 8 in the yellow. Yeah, that's the better shot. That's the better shot, because you develop the yellow, you develop the 8, and you kind of squeeze him a little bit more that side, where it's trickier for reds to do anything now. I kind of like that last time, but this time, you know, it's the same principle as it's turned out. Because Dom's pretty much hasn't got a shot here.
Yeah, I mean, the reds that he can hit, it's just not really going to help him very much. He's still going to leave Carl right in amongst them.
And that's if he hits it. He'll take that.
Yeah, he will take that. That's about as good as he could possibly have hoped for from that position. Yeah, I mean, the priority there was just hitting a red. It was a little bit lucky that it went up that end. But
he's got this. Carl's got time on yellows. You know, he doesn't need to do anything hasty. In the international rules, you haven't quite got the control and command of the table that, for those viewers out there that, for say, play world rules, for example, yellows are in a real big spot here. So play off the yellow and into the other yellow. And I wonder if that's not the best executed shot Carl's ever played. I bet he couldn't have imagined opening that bottom left-hand corner pocket up before he hit that ball.
No, I mean, with that one shot, he's actually turned things around quite significantly in this frame.
Yeah. These reds are there, to be honest.
It's a kind of innocuous shot he played. You couldn't see too much going wrong with it, but...
He'd like a kiss on that red, and he's got it, because he can now play the red. He can either play the red and draw into the 2 reds, or he can play the red off the yellows, and may even open the 8 ball up for that pocket.
Yeah, he's suddenly, from being in a really difficult position, he's got a surprising number of options.
There you go, okay, on this occasion. But has he got the red in off the yellow again?
Yeah, he's got a pocket for everything apart from the 8 now, so he's...
Yeah, on another day that yellow could have pinged out, and
so he's got time. Having 5 balls on the table is helpful. Although, well, he's got time in the sense of having a few balls to play with.
You were saying?
Running out of actual time.
Yeah, you were saying.
I think that's what's led to the trouble. We've seen that so many times when players have to rush a shot. It's often the position that's sacrificed.